call. Now we're going to move to general public comment.
Next, we have Kurt Hoffman, followed by Dr. Udo Wan, followed by Walter A. Lamb. Kurt Hoffman, you may unmute yourself and state your name for the record.
Hello, my name is Kurt Hoffman, and I'm a representative of Ocean Access Advocates. And okay, it looks like you've got the full report here. If we can go to page 6, that was the highlighted portions that I submitted. I know you've heard a lot about this Point La Jolla discussion, but this is a new report that we just uncovered this week. It was submitted to the city of San Diego on November 5th of 2021. It was not made public. We were able to uncover this report, and I've included some highlighted sections on page 6. The first item there is the mortality that I'd like to discuss. Large sharks and killer whales are the primary predators. We have seen two great white, one 7-gill, one great white shark attack on freedivers in the La Jolla area over the last month. We're having increased shark activities in the areas. And this is a potential point of liability for the city as well as the Coastal Commission. If you are complicit in approving the closure of Point La Jolla, increasing shark populations could certainly lead toward a fatality in the area. And then getting down to the next item, the status of the stock of California sea lions is quite high, certainly not near any type of endangered level. We're probably up closer to 300,000 by now, since we have not had a significant El Nino event in the last few years. And we certainly do not need to be closing areas to increase a population that is already very high. And then in conclusion, on page 7, the area that I highlighted with my previous submission, Dr. Hannon is suggesting that there really is no need to close Point La Jolla in order to protect the sea lions because they are not endangered. There's plenty of other locations. With his previous work, the sea lions were below the restaurants at the Cove on those high bluffs. Then they came over to Point La Jolla, and they could very easily go over to the Devil's Slide area, which is very well protected, easier for hauling out. And so if we do not close Point La Jolla, the sea lions may very well relocate themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Dr. Udo Wan, followed by Walter A. Lamb, followed by Kristen Brenner. Alvin Walter, you should be able to unmute yourself and say your name for the record.
Alvin Walter. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've been a member of the Sierra Club for just under 50 years and have been a leader and instructor for outdoor activities almost all that time. I've interacted with hundreds of other members and can tell everyone listening that myself and many other members I have spoken to strongly oppose blocking access to the California Ocean, especially La Jolla. I am also an active and avid water person who enjoys initiating my water activities from the beautiful Scripps Park that was also given to all the citizens of San Diego by the great visionary and philanthropist, Miss Ellen Browning Scripps. As a member of the San Diego section of the Sierra Club, I get a quarterly newsletter with a column written by Ellen Shively, the creator and leader of the Seal Society Club, which was not connected with the Sierra Club until a few years ago. Ms. Shively wrote the following a year ago. The sea lions have been considered a nuisance with their noise and were blamed for causing the odorous ambiance along the cliffs of the cove. The city began to spray the rocks and open the gate to allow the public access to the mammals. The disturbed colony moved over to the current location. The sea lions were moved. If the sea lions were moved to the current location by spraying them for their stink and noise, they can be removed from the current location by the same means, which will solve everybody's problem, and they can go back to where they were or many other locations with fewer people and a nice section of coastline along Torrey Pines where they can live high and dry year-round. All citizens of the city of San Diego do not deserve to have any access to the entire coastline blocked for any reason. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mark Brown, followed by Morgan Lawner, followed by Diane Kane. Mark Brown, you may unmute yourself and say your name for the record.
Hello, this is Mark Brown. Anybody hear me?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Mark Brown, and I'm speaking on the Point La Jolla closure. In Carol Olton's historical La Jolla book, an 1869 article is illuminating. Had the pleasure of a ride to this noted place on Sunday last. Every person having any poetry in his soul or an eye for the beautiful and grand in nature should make a pilgrimage to this place. The deep caverns in the rocks, the roar of the wild waves, the sea mosses to be gathered, all go to make this one of the most desirable places to visit about San Diego. Since Botford and Heald founded La Jolla in 1887, there's been a park at Point La Jolla. I discovered the Cove and its beauty in 1977 as a San Diego lifeguard at 30 years of age. I started body surfing Boomer and I've never stopped. I'm now the oldest body surfer in the lineup. Boomer is a truly world-renowned body surfing spot, singular in the whole state of California for being no board surfing year-round. Seasonally, North Boomer rides are in the fall and winter, and South Boomer Point goes off spring and summer. My 45 years of localism includes 7 years as Secretary of the Scripps Park Project, Cove lifeguard, local paramedic, got married in the park, taught my son to scuba dive at the Cove, stood witness and participated in Cliff Falls kayak rescues, cove rescues, breaching whales, 1 million seabirds, and 1,000 sunsets. My main argument against closure of Point La Jolla is the overarching negativism of the closure. I have gone to Point La Jolla to heal my soul, repair my spirits, restore my equilibrium throughout these 4.5 decades. There are now over 24 no signs festooned across the point. It's a blight. It's so negative. There must be some way to make a better situation than closing Point La Jolla. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Morgan Launer, followed by Diane Kane, followed by Lisa Ciani. Morgan Launer, you may unmute yourself and begin.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Morgan Launer. I grew up in La Jolla and currently live in Del Mar. My mom taught me how to body surf and the importance of respecting the ocean. Next slide. So why is this place so special to all of us that body surf here? Boomer Beach is the only location in the world that solely body surfing, no flotation devices are allowed. It is a mecca for the body surfing community. It is home to world-class diving and snorkeling. Personally, I utilize Boomer Beach to body surf, collect sea glass, and snorkel. Next slide. One of my favorite experiences as a kid was walking with my grandma to Point La Jolla to visit the tide pools. I learned about the marine life and vegetation, and there was so much of it. I loved finding sea slugs and looking at the anemones. Next slide. Unfortunately, this is what our tide pools look like now, and it scares me. I'm concerned about the impact the sea lions are having on the biodiversity and health of the Point La Jolla ecosystem and surrounding waters. Next slide. Next slide. I think that there's going to be a better solution to the controversy and the negativity surrounding Point La Jolla. The tourists and the sea lions. The people that access the ocean love and care about it. It is our right to access the beach. The problem lies with the visitors that are taking selfies with the sea lions. They are very easy to identify because they're the ones that have their phones out. My suggestions for possible solutions to this would be a seasonal temporary lifeguard tower with a ranger and lifeguard. Or why not use social media and photos to hold these people accountable and penalize them? Let's work together for smart solutions and save the park for the future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Diane Kane, followed by Lisa Ciani, followed by Dr. Hal Hanley. Diane Kane, you may unmute yourself and state your name for the record.
I am Dr. Diane Kane, President of the La Jolla Community Planning Association. At its November 4th, 2021 meeting, LJCPA trustees strongly requested that an environmental impact report be prepared prior to any additional closures at Point La Jolla for sea lion pupping activities. This request was forcefully reaffirmed at our January 6th, 2022 meeting that provided official input to Councilmember LaCava and the San Diego Parks and Recreation Department. With increasing numbers of sea lions, La Jolla's coastal and marine ecosystem is under stress. Once healthy tide pools in the haul-out areas are decimated, local fish populations are in decline, the health of the State Marine Reserve kelp forests is suffering. Both shark sightings and water pollution from marine mammal feces is on the rise. Meanwhile, human access to the once pristine waters of La Jolla Cove is prohibited for months at a time, while wildlife-human interaction increasingly ends in conflict. The current approach to marine mammal management is failing our ecosystem, and to continue it is folly. The La Jolla Community Planning Association urges the California Coastal Commission to require the preparation of an environmental impact report prior to issuing any further permits for closures at Point La Jolla for sea lion pupping activities. The EIR should address the cumulative and indirect impacts of established pinniped colonies in La Jolla to provide decision makers with scientific data and realistic management options that ensure long-term sustainability of the fragile marine ecology off the La Jolla coast. Thank you.
Dr. Hal Hanley, you may unmute yourself and state your name for the record.
My name is Dr. Hal Hanley. I am a local here in San Diego as a pre-graduate and postgraduate student in immunology.
I also have a presentation.
As such, the kind of work I did required that I needed time off.
As you've just heard, many of those days
down at
Mr. Lee, apparently we have two people testifying at the same time.
Use all of Point La Jolla and
that led to, in my case, that led to the discovery of human monoclonal.
I'm not sure where the second voice is coming from.
Billy, can you please pause the timer? I believe the audio is coming from Mr. Hanley.
Sea lions is ranked as the #1.
Mr. Hanley, can you please pause the audio or mute the audio on your computer?
In their natural habitat. Keeping people apart from sea lions enhances public safety and aligns with the MMPA. Next slide, please. With the limited range,
let me just say that I'm here to speak to the history of body surfing at Boomer Beach.
The sea lions. Just last week,
Mr. Hanley, we can't hear you because we're hearing the voice from another witness. Can you just reduce the volume on your
It sounds
computer?
like the webcast is running in the background also. There's a slight delay, so it may be if you could just turn off the webcast and just work with Zoom, that would probably solve the problem.
I don't see where that is.
Are you watching watching from the commission's website, the commission meeting too?
I am not that I'm aware of.
Okay, the sound is better. Why don't you go ahead, Mr. Hanley?
I'll go ahead with.
Need to get to higher ground during high tide, and an area.
Now it's not working. You know what? Perhaps you can call back in, okay?
Okay, let's do that.
Next slide, please. Point La Jolla Beach has a natural.
Mr. Hanley, if you could look through your computer and check your screens and see if you have another video running.
Thomas Keener, I'm not seeing your name in the attendees list. You may be in as Tom. I will unmute you. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, my name, and I don't see the video either, but thank you for letting me speak. My name is Thomas Keener, Tom, and I am speaking on the Point La Jolla closure issue. I have been a La Jollan since 1950 or earlier. I've been a body surfer since 1964. And Boomer is really special in this world as a body surfing spot, as has already been mentioned to you. About the sea lions, there were no sea lions colonies on Point La Jolla in the history books going back to the earliest books in the 19th century. They started just recently in the last 5 years or so. And in large part due to SeaWorld's habit of rescuing sick and infirm sea lions and returning them back to the waters off La Jolla, which is an impact on natural selection. It is not a great idea. Those sea lions are killing the large parts of vegetation on the point, along with the fish. It is not a great idea to have it as a tourist attraction, which also affects the local environment. It may bring money, but that money is not used to restore the park or the point. And so I hope that you do not block off Point La Jolla access to body surfers, to tourists, to anybody else on that when the sea lions don't need it. Thank you.